The Battle of the E's is underway. EG versus EHOME in Game 2. And the draft is already underway with the bans done. And Lena already picked for EG.
Same first pick. And this time around they banned the Winter Wyvern, which was a huge factor last game. And it looks to be one of the best pick for EHOME so far, the Winter Wyvern.
Are they going to go for the Darkseer even though they don't have Winter Wyvern?
I think it's very different. The Darkseer Winter Wyvern really it's very scary.
I mean, they can do Darkseer Shaker too.
Alright, there's the answer.
Oh, true. Bounty Hunter is led through. That can work really well. But as you say, without a combination, Darkseer sometimes is not as impressive. And Shaker is for sure going to get banned in second phase by EG if they do not pick it themselves already here.
And I feel like EG have a very special story against Bounty Hunter, because back then, it was like 2 months ago maybe, or maybe even only 1 month ago. So a lot of teams would dominate with Bounty, especially versus Chen. And the first team that destroyed the Bounty lineup was EG, and it was versus Fiji Gaming. And I remember we were even studying how they dealt with the Bounty, because the way they did it, they had really tanky heroes such as Speed Breakers, very strong lanes, and they just made Bounty a non-factor, and they destroyed the team they faced.
I mean, even during the group stages, me, Malini, Syndrome, we were discussing about why they would actually pick a Spirit Breaker against a Bounty Hunter. There are a couple of reasons. Bounty Hunter is going to be roaming around early, trying to get kills, and Spirit Breaker, you can always be there. And you are tanky, like you mentioned, it's hard to take you down. And when Bounty Hunter doesn't get kills, the effectiveness of the hero drops down a lot.
Completely.
And right now they have like the Darkseer plus Bounty Hunter. That could actually be dangerous if EG doesn't have like a good laning support, because they can actually wreak havoc in the early lanes if actually played right.
I feel like a Lena support by herself it's very scary to run versus that.
Yeah, definitely. Like Lena as a support against those two. Just very weak in general.
And support heroes of the style like Lena is super important for teams like EHOME and for CDEC in their success, because they have supports that can clear out creep waves super fast. Since their carry is not always farming, their carry is almost always fighting with them. So you need supports that can also clear the waves quickly. And that is pretty crucial.
And I've got to say that Storm ban really looks like a respect ban to me. And the way CTY plays Storm is way more aggressive than other Storms. That's how I feel about it. You know, it's not that Storm that goes Bloodstone and farms and just pressure lanes. He goes for kills all the time.
He does. And when you get an early Orchid like that, you can really punish an Anti-Mage, because he was far away from his Manta style at the point when you got it. It has a lot to do with your early game. If you get the good early game on Storm, then Orchid is so much better.
10 seconds remaining.
Tusker being banned out by EHOME is kind of curious, but it would be a strong fighting combo. I think they just want to remove hard-to-kill heroes, as you said, so that Bounty Hunter can find some kills, some squishy heroes.
I still think they need some way to deal with the Spirit Breaker. I think one of the best supports is Rubik. If you're not going to go for the Shaker, we thought Shaker would already be banned out by now.
Yeah, and it hasn't, so the only... I mean, running Shaker, if it is a Bounty position 4, then, and which most likely it is, then I mean, having Bounty plus Shaker as a support hero is a bit so-so, because the offlane...
Yeah, I agree.
Already Darkseer.
It's kind of weak though if you do that.
It's probably why they are ignoring the Shaker.
And EG is going to ban out the Luna, which they actually had trouble dealing with.
I really feel like the lineup from EHOME can be a very explosive, aggressive lineup. And I don't feel like they would have went for the Luna. I felt like they're going to go for very... I mean, obviously, Quap is still available. I think, you know, heroes like Quap and burst heroes, mobile heroes is the heroes they're looking for now.
Not having the Lina, Queen of Pain is a very good hero, because they need something that can always secure the kills for Bounty Hunter, running with him. And mobile hero like Queen of Pain could do that. Other heroes are still, of course, the Ember Spirit is still in the game.
Anti-Mage, I think, too, actually. I mean, when you ban out the Luna, and you're versus Darkseer, I think the Anti-Mage is still a very viable pick for Evil Geniuses. Not that great for them in Game 1, but it's a little bit of a different game.
Oh, for EG, for sure. Yeah, I think that's a strong pick. EHOME might be even thinking about removing that right now.
EHOME always had the better team fight in almost all the games they played, and right now they lack control with the Darkseer. I mean, Winter Wyvern is not an option. Earthshaker, we said, because of how the draft developed for them, is not an option either. And the Gyrocopter is banned, so... Which heroes are we looking at for EHOME?
They need a range hero with some sort of disable, I think, as a support. Like you mentioned, I think someone mentioned Rubik.
Yeah, Rubik definitely makes the most sense. quick cast animation to deal with the Spirit Breaker. Plenty of good spells to steal. Can somewhat combo
Okay.
the Darkseer.
So they ban out the Anti-Mage who has been used so much as a counter to the peel, which they then immediately pick as well. So a good fighting carry for them. With Gyrocopter being banned out, there are not that many good fighting carries available.
You know, this pick as well, like,
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of teams when they see, I mean the teams from today, when you pick a heavy core, PL or AM, the Luna was like the reply. And in this case, like EHOME's, they realized EG actually took the Luna out, and they themselves took the AM out, so PL becomes a very strong pick here.
I mean, they're pretty much forced to pick Ember at this point, aren't they? Looking at it.
I feel like Ember is a good pick because it's a Sumail hero. We've seen HG pick Ember versus the Phantom Knights earlier today. It did not really work out for them, but I don't think it was because of the matchup Ember versus PL. They just got overwhelmed by C-Deck.
Yeah, the Silencer was doing so much in that game. Yep, just stopping the Ember from doing anything really. He jumped in and then the Silence came out and he was just stuck in there.
Yeah, but going back to the point where we were discussing earlier, Darkseer plus Bounty Hunter, it's very troublesome for a support like Lina. And if you're talking about having Ember in your lineup, that would actually relegate the Lina towards the support position, and that could be troublesome.
The only way for them to handle it is to send, at least in my opinion, the Spirit Breaker to the offlane and have a strong support duo like Lina +1 that could do the job. Bloodseeker, it is very interesting, especially because Bloodseeker is not the best hero to deal with Phantom Lancer.
But he's super good against Darkseer though.
Yeah, he is, for sure. I mean, he's also decent versus PL if you... I mean, when he Raptors PL, then you know which PL is the real one, but in a 1-on-1, PL can always man-fight the Bloodseeker, that's my point.
That's true.
Especially because PL is a natural diffuser carrier and Manta, and both remove the silence from the Bloodseeker, so usually Bloodseeker is completely irrelevant in fights versus PL.
Yeah, but a good point about Phantom Lancer as well. In some of the games today, we saw him like escaping early ganks with Doppelganger. And in this game, what EG has a lot of chasing power. Spirit Breaker, Lina, and Bloodseeker, all very fast heroes, and PL might not have the luxury of escaping ganks this time against this lineup.
So it could still be a Lina mid.
I believe it's going to be a Lina mid because Spirit Breaker works so well with that. He comes in charging, sets up the stun, Lina can follow up, you have plenty of damage, and any single 70% and you're winning that.
And so far they have very bad spells to cancel the charge. It's really hard to land the shuriken.
It's like Shuri, the
when
only
he
thing.
charges that.
400 cast range is not too impressive.
Witch Doctor.
Witch Doctor, we talk about them needing something to complement the vacuum. So cast is somewhat, I mean, manageable. I mean,
it can be fine, yeah.
Yeah, it can be fine. Yeah, Malediction as well, a very good source of damage for that. And like you guys mentioned, it's a way of dealing with the charge. They need some way to actually stop the Spirit Breaker from actually diving into them.
But it still feels like they lack this AoE you always want to have when you play with the Darkseer. Every game they played, they had something at least, like the Winter Wyvern, or I mean, we've seen Shaker run by other teams, and in that game they don't really have it. It looks like they're looking for a full aggression lineup, and there goes the Ember.
I think it's going to be some AoE mid-hero though, like Queen of Pain is still not banned out.
Yeah.
So I definitely think they're going to add in more AoE to this in the last pick.
Two options here, Queen like you mentioned, and Shadow Fiend will also fit that role.
It feels like they're baiting the Ember pick because, I mean, you gotta know EG plays Ember, especially after yesterday. They destroyed complexity with it. It was a Sumail show, we said right after the game. And here, you're picking a PL, you're picking a lineup with very few reliable disables. It's an obvious Ember pick. So maybe they're just baiting it and they have a plan.
Maybe. I also think they're in a pretty comfortable spot because if you get enough farm on PL, and the Ember doesn't have a great early game, if Bounty Hunter can mess with him along with a Darkseer, who's a really disruptive type of early gamer.
But I just feel like when you're Bounty Hunter and you run into an Ember with a Spirit Breaker that could be charging you, it's actually scary. You're just gonna
you are gonna be very careful about where you're going, and you can't really be safe all the time though because of the Spirit Breaker.
I think the Quap ban is a good ban. It's AoE, it's a lot of aggression with the Bounty, and it's a hero that's hard to kill mid.
They're removing some combinations, both of these teams now. The Sand King ban is also making a lot of sense. Looking over to Lina, who's already picked Spirit Breaker. They need more disables and AoE damage to control the PL. So sure, you have the Ember Spirit for later on when he has Battle Furies and so on. But before that, they just need AoE spells.
Here I like them a lot for EHOME would be Puck. Alright, it's going to be a Razor, that's going to be mid. He could be ganked a lot, so...
Oh! There we go!
Thank you, Howie. What do you know?
Probably I wish.
Oh my goodness.
EHOME lost. Take it too strong.
We've waited and we've waited and we've waited, and on day 3 of the International 2015, welcome to the main event for the hero that everyone loves to hate and hates to love. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and enjoy this one. Game 2 is on your way. Cap, it's all yours.
We finally get a techies on our hands, boys and girls. That's right, Evil Geniuses with the surprise pickup. Game number 2, they lost game 1 pretty badly to EHOME Blitz. Now they're banking all their hopes on a techie. Is this the hero?
I mean, I'm kind of hating on AUI because he complains about this hero all the time. Whenever I go in his team speak, all he talks to me about is, man, we just played a game and it became 95 minutes and we lost to a techies. Why is this hero in Dota? And then I see him outside after they played their group stage matches, I think it was against CDEC, and they won it twice. And I was like, what was with that? And he's like, XD memes. And so they immediately pick it. I mean, this is the deciding game for them, and they decide to grab it. And if you notice in this mid lane, he's already placing mines, and
I have a theory, Blitz. I have a theory.
oh no, this is, you know what that's, Fear's trying to distract them. Like, I'm not even kidding. This is what you do to bother them so they don't pay attention to AUI doing this.
Oh my goodness. So I have a theory about the AUI. He sets up this petition, right? He sets up the petition, Valve, remove techies, at least from matchmaking, at the very least, right? And that's not successful. Valve leave it in there. And so now AUI, on the biggest matches, on the biggest world stage, he's trying to draw some attention, but EHOME found him. They know what's what. AUI has been spotted out. And it doesn't look like the mine setup is going to work out for him. Evil Geniuses are backing him pretty heavily here. They move forward, put down the counter ward, and those double mines will be taken away.
And this is fairly significant because you actually do need to kill, or you actually do need to keep this alive, but the problem right there is that even dewarding that pretty much tips off EHOME that there are mines up there, and as long as CTY remembers and doesn't accidentally walk up there, he should be fine. And it's a Razor against an Ember Spirit. That's an incredibly bad lane for the Ember to be able to one-on-one in, and I mean, Sumail's the type of player that does rely on having a matchup which is favorable for him, and this is definitely not one of those.
And he doesn't really have a good support to help him out in lane if it becomes too much. Now that the mine has been spotted out, I'm not sure if PPD is really going to be able to spend too much time going on that mid, especially pre-level 2. And then you've got Lanham on top of everything else that Sumail's going to be facing up against. He has to go against a Razor. He's not going to get much help from his supports. He also has to deal with Lanham, who's going to be trying to counter his courier immediately.
And the thing is, 28 damage at a later phase of the game isn't too much, but in the early part of the game, it's a quarter of your damage. So it's going to be incredibly hard for the Ember, who already struggles in the laning phase, to be able to do anything. Like, the problem with Ember Spirit is that your first 2 levels of both your abilities aren't very good. You don't want to use the Sleight of Fist because of the cooldown. The Flame Guard blocks almost nothing. And Searing Change just doesn't do damage at an early level, so it's really hard for Sumail to get aggressive here, but CTY is just going to take full advantage of this, and something even more curious is this Universe offlane Lina against this ROTK offlane Dark, or this safe lane Darkseer. This might be one of the few situations where an offlane Lina actually wins a lane.
Yeah, very curious. Why exactly are we seeing this? EHOME running a sort of aggro dual lane here between YJ's Phantom Lancer and DDC's Witch Doctor. They just feel like pressuring the Bloodseeker in the beginning of the game is that important?
I think so, but I think it more just speaks to the fact that they think that it's going to be a really hard lane for ROTK, and they think this is still a decently favorable matchup. Like, as long as you don't run into the techies mines, which, I mean, that you could say that about techies at any phase of the game, you should be okay in this off lane.
Bonham still waiting.
Oh, he's sending in. He's trying to send illusions. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So he can spot the mines.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the harder things to deal with. Phantom Lancer always has those kind of disposable units to throw out and try and catch out the mines. AUI actually grabbed an Invis rune now. This obviously could set up a lot, as he's got that Suicide Squad ready to go. CTY may be the target here, but he does have 720 HP. They're going to need a little bit more, and that's why it's important that Sumail joins in on this attempted gank. Spots out the courier, but of course AUI can't really kill that with his damage. Start pinging him out. Counter ward being laid down. He spots out AUI. They start going for it. Body blocking close enough. Sumail's going to be able to get the change. Do they have the damage already? It looks like it. CTY will be taken out. First blood goes to Sumail.
Great stuff. Techies helps get a first blood.
Uh-oh, Fear bottom lane. He needs some help. YJ's got another lance coming in. Fear has an extra movement speed, but he clears through the trees with a doppelganger. They just need the vision for the lance. YJ gets it, and Fear will go down. The counter kill is there. 1-2 now. To the advantage of EHOME.
And the thing is, Fear's pretty much solo down here. It's a Spirit Breaker support who's not really going to offer you any sort of potential to kill. It's a Witch Doctor, which is one of the best heroes at offlaning just because the cask is so efficient. And it's a Phantom Lancer who can just doppelganger away if you decide to go on him. So, and it's also a Techies that's a support player for you. So it's pretty much a Bloodseeker against two heroes, and this is an efficient matchup, and that's why AUI says, okay, there's nothing I can really do at bottom, but he picks up that Invis rune, decides to go for that mid gank, and I mean, it was perfect. That body block was just really well done.
Can we please talk about Lautum's Bounty Hunter, though? He's been spending, he has not a single point of experience. He's been spending all of his time looking for that courier. EG kept it inside of the base until the 3-minute marker where they were able to upgrade it. And with Bounty Hunter, especially not having that Janata, not being level 2, there's no way he could actually pick it off anymore. So he actually hasn't really done anything for his team, especially since Samael was still able to win his lane thanks to that gank from AUI, and now has his bottle in hand. What does Lautum do now?
I mean, there's no point in trying to debate what a... How many times have we talked about the early game impact of a Bounty Hunter completely failing? And how often does it not matter? Like, the point of the hero is just to create as much of a disruption as you can, but if you can, at the end of the day, all you really are relying for is the track.
Oh, Lautum, he may be caught out here. Oh, Universe. He has the counter ward there, but unfortunately, he just expended one of his spells. If he maybe had the combination, could have gone on Lautum, but didn't see him in time. CTY still aggressively pushing up against Samael. Samael sitting at 11-3 CS despite the first blood. Obviously not a great matchup for him. He's going to do a bit of bottle crowing. He needs that extra help.
Yeah, EHOME are gotta feel pretty confident right now because Fear's not really getting too much out of this bottom lane. He's doing okay in CS, but the Phantom Lancer's right behind him. The Darkseer actually tops the net worth chart right now when it comes to last hits, and DTY still doing a good job in this mid lane. Samael only has 11 CS, but it doesn't really get better from here. He's actually getting pretty aggressive right now in this mid lane.
Samael pushing in. He's going to pop the ultimate despite having no damage. The magic damage is enough for Samael to pick up the kill. CTY once again trying to challenge the young Evil Geniuses player, but ends up losing the matchup. 2 kills going into Samael, and he's going to start this snowball rolling, but we saw that in game number 1. It didn't make much of a difference there.
I mean, Samael to me is just so impressive this entire tournament. I think that's the 5th game I've casted where he gets a solo kill against the enemy mid laner. Granted, CTY was ganked before that, but even in that previous game, CTY, a player known for his lane dominance, is just constantly getting gone on it again. AUI comes from behind.
Yeah, they're going to be able to blow him up. The suicide goes off. Easy kill on the Razor. They even had PPD charging in just to make sure that they assure that kill. Lautum actually going for the sneaky ward now, getting more vision on this middle lane. They've got double counters laid in place. They still see the mines, and they're just trying to keep vision. But it doesn't seem to matter. Once again, Samael still picks up the kill thanks to the help of AUI, and the support techies is working out quite well for Evil Geniuses. Like the support techies in combination with the Spirit Breaker seems like a very large amount of inoffensive action against EHOME, except for when you're able to pick up that Invis rune and start the snowball running.
Oh, and at bottom, they're going to go on Fear. They're going to need at least one lucky cast bounce, but
the Blood Right almost catching him. Doppelganger still gets away. DDC gets bashed up, but PPD is forced back. Samael's going to join him, though. He's got some remnants ready to go. Pops the chains, but doesn't get to YJ. And Fear still trying to run him down. YJ doesn't have that doppelganger ready to go. They're just running him down. Fear ready to go with the last click. Samael is actually the one who gets it for the killing spree.
And Samael's just been the dominant force in this game, already with 3 kills. All of his rotations have paid off. I mean, I really thought CTY was just going to take over in this lane.
Look at that. This mine spanning. Is this just in case he happens to run right next to the trees and it explodes?
Yeah, I think that's what he's actually shooting for, because CTY keeps dipping in and out. And this is just... Techies is such a frustrating hero to play against because you can't really get sentries everywhere. You're pretty much just playing a guessing game and hoping that he's not where you want him to be. And
I've seen this before with remote mines, but with early on landmines being placed like this, YJ.
CTY's getting dangerously close to that area, and I mean, this is such a weird place for AUI because they can't really see him, and He doesn't have the suicide, so if they spot him, he's pretty much instantly dead, but it's kind of working out for him. I think I said this in like the group phase. If you die against the techies, you pretty much just have to be like, well, that's Dota. Just gotta pretend like the game broke and your hero just disappeared. Like it was a game-breaking bug, you report it on Reddit or something and complain. You just can't get tilted off of it.
Oh, it's 4-3 right now, 8 minutes in. Evil Geniuses, they seem to be looking okay. Right now, net worth, they're slightly ahead. Sumail's going to go on CTY here in the middle lane. DDC has the backup, though, ready to go with the cask. Universe has actually come over, and he's still got his Laguna Blade ready to go. ROTK is down here with the Invis Rune. Looks like they're going to try and really put some pressure on Sumail, but do they actually have the chain stuns to do so? Lanham actually runs into a mine there, and Sumail may have just got enough of a heads up. There goes the mines. ROTK runs right into that one, and now turn around. Oh my goodness, he actually catches ROTK, gets the kill! The Voodoo Restoration was not enough, and Sumail, unbelievable.
3 heroes there, just decides to go for it, doesn't even care, realizes what's up and not. And I mean, he's just playing so dominantly this game. He has 4 out of the 5 kills on EG so far. And the thing is, what makes this so important is that even though he did this last game, it was against a Storm Spirit. Storm Spirit can go to the jungle and decide to dominate elsewhere, but Razor's a hero that's so static.
From behind, CTY, he's going to be triple ganked. He doesn't stand a chance against all of this. Fear moves out of his lane to go for the gank successfully, might I add. And Evil Geniuses seem to be looking unstoppable, winning every single one of their lanes now. YJ has to dodge the Light Strike Array there with the Doppelganger. If he gets hit by that one, the combination of nukes, Universe will kill him.
That's a 47 CS off-laning Lina, who's actually got the most CS on her team. Just 4 behind that Darkseer. This is the type of Universe play that we're looking forward to, where he's given a one-on-one matchup and just absolutely takes advantage of it. YJ can't do much.
Ooh, he came over at the same time. Bounty Hunter goes down to the bottom lane. DDC will spot out the mines being placed by AUI in the top lane. This Bounty Hunter is not going to be picking up his level 6 anytime soon at this rate.
It's okay though. The real mine trap is a little bit further down. I mean, AUI is just going to be laughing to himself in the booth as he waits for this to happen.
I'm just waiting for it, DDC.
No, there's no way that DDC walks down there. This guy's a TI player. He's just going to casually... Because the thing is, you can't expect it. It's such a ridiculous place to put mines.
You know what I'm also waiting for is YJ to doppelganger downwards at some point in time into that trees and blow up those mines as well.
They're looking so hard for the mines because they know that there are some up here, but... I mean... That's what Techies does to you. He just changes the way that you play the game.
It's no longer Dota 2, it's Minesweeper, boys and girls. EHOME are searching for those openings. Looks like both teams are going to sit back and farm a little bit. CTY actually utilizing his ultimate right now to do the jungle. Very rare that we see Razor commit to the jungle, especially so early on, but he kind of has to with the constant ganks that are coming in the middle lane.
This is the weakness of heroes like Razor and Viper, and why we see them so often in the short lane. Because if they get dominated in the mid lane, this is such inefficient jungling. Like, he's not actually getting that much farm out of this, but the issue is that CTY has nowhere else to go. That's why it matters so much more that Sumail did such a good job in this game versus the last one. Because Storm, if he dies once, it doesn't really matter. He'll just go to the jungle. He doesn't care. But when you're a Razor, you have to just static stay in your lane. But if you keep showing yourself, EG will take advantage of that and dive you every time.
Look for PPD. He actually managed to pick up his level 6 fairly early on here. He's going to be using it to try and gank up YJ. The charge is going to be coming through. He's got the Doppelganger ready to go. Or no, he doesn't actually. It's down for 14 seconds, but EG are not going to be able to dive the tower.
Yeah, maybe they just wanted to force him into the mines. I don't know. But this tower push is going to be incredibly hard, but they've rotated a lot of heroes here, and tower pushing is not EG's forte right now. They've got Alina, who's going for a Yule Scepter, doesn't have a lot of physical damage. Your Techies is really good, but you don't want to send your Bloodseeker or your Ember Spirit into the front lines. I think if you're EG, the game plan is just create as much map presence as possible, just kill as many heroes as you can by repeatedly running at them nonstop, and hope that the threat of the mines is enough to keep EHOME at bay, or eventually they just get pushed back. But EHOME, they need to create more space for YJ's. He just needs a lot more farm than this at this point.
Well, now, what about the Razor? We've actually seen Razor a number of times from EHOME at the group stage. They kind of went for the same build every single time, picking up the early mech. They eventually go for the Shivas. Do you think that changes anywhere in this game, especially due to CTY's slower start than normal?
I mean, there's no way that you rely on CTY getting a mech anymore. He probably just goes for straight BKB.
Oh, I'm sorry. We already have the mech on ROTK, so of course he's not going to be going for it.
He goes for the drums, or even just a straight BKB.
Right.
Like, getting the drums is probably better, because if you go for a BKB, you're pretty much all in committed at that point.
Dire's middle tower.
It doesn't help you farm, it doesn't give you mana regen or anything like that. It's just a straight fighting item.
Evil Geniuses, you said it before in game number 1, this is what they tend to do. They grab some sort of safe laner that's able to utilize the jungle. They free up the bottom lane for AUI to farm it up. That's what he's doing on his techies. He's just now getting his level 6, so now EHOME have to worry about remote mines as well.
I mean, this is the perfect AUI hero, because they're not going to gank him.
PPD. He's in here deep all by himself. He actually pops the ultimate, gets that 17%. YJ in some trouble there. Blue blade goes out. He does have the damage. Now DDC lets loose his own ultimate. He managed to pick up the kill still. Double kill for both of them. Fear gonna try and run down CTY. Samael stops that TP, but the rest of the team is coming in. The mech is out. There goes the wall as well. Samael still fighting away with that flame guard. It's actually doing so much damage up against ROTK, and Fear has that extra movement speed. Track me damned. Fear's gonna go for it, trying to run down ROTK. He gets that surge though, and back to the tier 2 tower. Fear will back up and heal himself off the creeps.
Yeah, and EHOME, they just have to be prepared for that counter initiation game from EG. PPD just recklessly throwing himself into pretty much everybody from EHOME, doesn't even care because he realizes they just can't fight us right now. Nobody from EHOME has any farm. Phantom Lancer isn't the type of hero that you want to be getting into early game engagements with, and that Witch Doctor even had such a great time, but unable to do anything. And man, AUI, the problem is he doesn't have any mines down there, but there's no way for EHOME to know that.
Right.
So they don't want to gank him, but at the same time, you're giving up a tier 1 tower for it.
Now, what do you think about his item build? Because before, again, we saw this in the group stage, he actually tries to go for the early Aghanim sometimes, which allows him with level 2 remote mines to instantly clear through creep waves, which is a huge advantage. For sure. They're going to jump in, trying to grab DDC. There is no TPs whatsoever from EHOME. Samael easily picking up the kill.
And the reason why they send that Witch Doctor down there is because nobody else wants to go down there. They just drew sticks and said, all right, you lost. Go find out what happens. Report back to us. If you die, whatever. We're not even mad about it.
EG. Keep on putting the pressure on YJ as well. Even if they get that pick off in the bottom lane, there's still the very big threat of PPD with the charge and ultimate ready to go, as well as the Bloodseeker Rupture. The combination of the two is so much single target damage. Bloodseeker actually going for an early Sange here. There goes the first Yule Scepter Universe. They're going to blow up RTK, and the TPs are just not going to be in time. EHOME, very ineffective rotations. Unable to stop anything, unable to get a counter kill. And even then, look at YJ. He's going to have to play so careful up here in this top lane.
Honestly, this isn't even EHOME playing badly at this point. It's just the limitations of their draft. They TP in. What stops EG from just getting out? Like, there's one disable on their team. It's the cask. That's about it for them. You've got the vacuum, and that kind of counts, but it doesn't really matter.
Oh.
No, there's no way.
YJ. He's so close to it, but
the pings are coming out.
Not going to happen just yet. The Rupture laid out. YJ is not actually going to pop the Doppelganger in time, and now he's going to be chain stunned down. He falls, and Evil Genius is now on the way out. There goes that cast, though. They managed to get him Maledict onto Fear. He's running his way downwards. ROTK thrown out, and it looks like he's just going to take out from the Maledict. Fear will end up going down. A 1-for-1 trade-off. Samael. Maybe they make the jump here. Yule Scepter, Light Strike Ray. They have a Laguna Blade up in 5 seconds. Not time to kill RTK, though. The mech gets laid out now. The vacuum. They're running themselves away. Universe has the Laguna Blade, turns around, throws it on RTK before he dies. Samael, though, has got to get out of here. The charge is coming in. PPD cancels it. Still, though, they're leaving AUI alone in this bottom lane, and that's always dangerous, as this tier 2 tower is going to fall quickly at this rate.
I mean, I was just kidding before, but it's actually happening. Like, they don't want to send core heroes down there, because the core hero's not going to have sentries on them, so they're too afraid that they're just going to waste their time and their net worth going down there and instantly blowing up. Like, look what YJ's doing right now. He's sending illusions down and just hoping that he doesn't run into mines. Like, he's so afraid of farming right now that he's just sending in illusions.
He's got double remote mines right now placed in that bottom lane. It's not going to be enough by itself. In the meantime, Samael is going to clear through this creep wave real quickly and open up that tier 1 tower. In fact, he doesn't even need the bounty for it. He's already got that Blade Fury coming in.
Sumail, he's got so much farm right now. That Battle Fury, like you said, about to pop. He's going to get the last hit on the tower. And EG's lineup, they just continue to run at them. Like, what are EHOME supposed to do? The only way they're getting kills right now is if EG overextends like crazy. Because they just don't have the disables to go on them. They probably need a bare minimum of a Blink Dagger on ROTK to even get aggressive at this point, and that's probably what they're waiting for, some way to initiate, and just hope at that point your Phantom Lancer has enough farm where he can be self-reliant.
I mean, add on top of that, this is thinking way deep in the game. Hold up here. Charges coming out on YJ. Samael is going to make his Remnant jump, forces out the Doppelganger, and Samael actually just keeps on going. DDC backs his way up, though. But going back to it, late game, how does EHOME push into this? You've got a Blood Rage Ember Spirit who's already picked up his Battle Fury very early on to the game, and a Techies who is going to be incredibly farmed as well. This is a nightmare scenario for trying to end the game.
The situation for EHOME right now is, if I'm trying to guess their game plan, is just to get this Phantom Lancer as farmed as possible and ignore the heroes from EG. Like, you don't really care about their net worth. All that matters is that you know that YJ, if this goes to 70 minutes and the game isn't over yet, will have 6 slotted items and can send illusions uphill to just get the tower down for you. But the problem with that game plan is getting to that point, because EG just continue to apply pressure. They're even going to go for the smoke gank here, and AUI just continues to send mines at this bottom lane, and it's hard for them to continue to lay aggression anywhere else. Like, EHOME are stuck on one side of the map right now.
Rotating around, Solanum barely TPs out ahead of Universe. Meantime, we do have to keep our eye on CTY at this bottom lane. AUI just throwing out the farming remote mines, pushing the wave into that tier 2. He gets one more mine there, the tier 2 will fall.
He's sending the chicken to the shop. I'd imagine that's going to be a point booster. I'd hope that's a point booster anyways. I don't know what else he can go for in the secret shop at this point, but...
Yep, there it is. So the early Aghanim Scepter.
Yeah, and I know so much of our attention in this cast is focused towards techies, but that's just what happens when this hero's in the game. Like, so much of everybody's attention is focused in on him that it changes the way that you play completely.
Right.
Like, you worry about him, you're worried about the mines, and I guess the good news for EHOME is now that they have these sentries and they know that AUI is standing at this bottom lane, they don't really have to worry too much about where he's planting mines. Like, they know that it's got to be on one side of the map, so this opens up an opportunity for EHOME. Like, they can finally start to take a little bit more control back.
Samael. He's on the hunt right now with that Invis rune. The counter ward was just laid out by Lonum, though. Sees the ward, already the charge laying out. They're going to go for Lonum now. Samael pops his Flame Guard and just runs down Lonum as best as he can, but they don't have enough damage. They still manage to get that tier 1 tower. YJ unable to get the deny because of Eul Scepter usage out from Universe. Now the Rupture going to be placed on YJ. Doppelganger to the side, still going to be hit by the Silence, but Evil Geniuses are not ready to go that deep. I mean, ultimately, they're just buying more space for AUI.
Yeah, they don't really need to continue to die for that because their heroes are just out farming everybody on EHOME anyways, and they know they can rely on the fact that CTY still can't really do anything but continue to right-click away, and yeah, there's that.
Some applause from the crowd as they see that net worth growing for Evil Geniuses. The fear, he's got the SNY, his next item. Is BKB really a necessity here? It doesn't feel like there's too many disables or magic damage that he dodges. Can he go a more stat-focused build?
Yeah, going for the SNY here is perfectly fine because you just want to be able to out-kite the Phantom Lancer and the Razor statically. There's not much else required right now because, again, there's only one disable on the side of EHOME. A lot of their damage is just based on physical damage and their team fight from the Vacuum Death Ward. So as long as they can avoid that by going inside and out, it should be perfectly fine, but...
so because of that, the lack of disables perhaps, does he go BKB next or is there something else?
No, I think you can just continue to be a little bit more greedy.
Okay.
Actually, you probably get a BKB just for the Witch Doctor cast when you run in with Sumail. It'll probably help a lot.
Even though it's one disable, it's still enough.
Yeah, it's probably still annoying enough that you just
YJ,
don't want to
oh my goodness, Samael challenges him, and he can play this aggressively because EHOME just don't have any way to punish him for being so far forward again because the cast is really the only disable. Finally, AUI gets the opportunity to lay down that landmine and claims the tier 2 at the bottom lane.
I mean, he's just... I forget. I think he's just forgotten that he's playing in a TI. He's just casually been planting mines nonstop. Doesn't really care about what's going on in the rest of the game. Just happily chipping away at that tower. He's got an Aghanim Scepter at 22 minutes. I know he's having the time of his life. Like, if he's in the booth right now, he's just laughing so hard because nobody's touching him.
So he's now got that 600 damage nuke, thanks to the Aghanim Scepter and level 2 remote mines. This instantly will clear through a creep wave, which makes it impossible. It's just going to be a constant split push out from AEY. As you can see, boom, there goes the whole entire wave. YJ's forced back from one mine. The charge is coming in, but I'm sure YJ's going to be heading back to base.
This is how far we've fallen, that a crowd is cheering for Techies to win because they're the only North American team left.
Dota's over.
You take what you can get at this point, guys.
PPD will cancel his charge, but still is in a great position to be able to get a charge maybe on that middle lane if somebody shows up. Of course, with Universe having that Aghanim Scepter, he's got 675 pure damage just from his ultimate. They could quickly burst down any hero that shows up, and looks like, yeah, he's going to ignore the BKB on Bloodseeker. He goes for a more farming item, more damage, Maelstrom. I wasn't really expecting that item out of everything else.
I think it's less because of it's a farming item, but more so you can counter the Phantom Lancer. You just want as much clear as you can to cut through the illusions as fast as you possibly can. Because EG recognized the same thing that pretty much everyone here should at this point. It's that CTY has almost nothing, and he's not going to get items. Like, that's the nature of the hero when you decide to play Razor, but you're going to put a lot of your hopes on this Phantom Lancer at this point, and so EG right now, everything that they're building towards is to counter that Phantom Lancer. You get a lot of different items on Sumail. Fear's going to go for that SNY into Mjolnir. Universe is going to do the same thing. We forgot to just mention that Universe has a full Aghanim Scepter and a plate mail. Like, everybody from EG right now is built to deal with that Phantom Lancer.
Do you go for the Shivas on Lina at this point and leave the AC up to Fear?
I think so. Going for the Shivas just gives you additional clear. Like, all you have to do is kill YJ playing the Phantom Lancer right now. You don't have to have any other game plan because nobody else on EHOME is farmed enough to warrant it, but like I said, they're waiting for the Blink Dagger on ROTK. He's about to pick it up. This is not the EHOME that we've previously seen where they smoke gank, go for towers, because they just don't have the initiation to go along with it.
ROTK, he 50 gold away from the Blink Dagger, which is pretty normal for Darkseers after the mech. Is this initiation enough for EHOME to try and force a fight somewhere?
I think so. I think you finally go for your first play of the game. Just don't let it be the bottom lane because you don't know what lies there.
Certainly not the Roshan pit, that's for sure.
Yeah. There's just no way for EHOME to know right now. Like, they've got one ward up, but probably not enough to give them information. And they've got a 10-second BKB on CTY. They've got a Blink Dagger, I think, on their Darkseer. You're not going to get much more farm than this if you want to take a fight. Otherwise, the game plan is just continue to sit behind the Phantom Lancer and hope that you can hold fights. I think that's one of two game plans that EHOME go for at this point.
Oh, nice counter ward. It's going to spot out, obviously, potential remote mines up that staircase, but also the Observer ward that was placed by EG not so long ago. Notice across the board the very aggressive vision from EG. Not only was that bottom ward there, but also middle lane. They've got enough vision to be able to see into that tier 2 area. This opens up a lot of room for AEY to place very aggressive remote mines across the board.
Yeah, I mean, they're still never going to contest them. There's no reason for EHOME to really challenge the dominance of Techie's map control, because it's just going to cost the supports too much. Like, at some point, DDC needs to grab some items. Same with the Bounty Hunter. You can't just mindlessly fly sentries and hope that you're going to run into one.
Right.
And that's the problem right now. And EHOME actually know that Sumail's here, and this might be an opportunity for a trap, but I think they still doubt their ability to kill him just because the lack of lockdown for them.
Yeah, they would need some other unit for them to be able to get the chain of the cast. There goes a Rupture, and with Sumail in position, he's actually going to go on to CTY here as a Remnant, ready to retreat just in case. Will bounce himself back. PPD bumps back YJ. Nice 3-man vacuum with the cask over the top. Fear's already gone, and so too does BPD fall. Now a second life comes out for Fear. Sumail's going to try and run interception here. Fear is actually so fast because of all the low HP heroes. A remote mines goes off, bringing CTY low, and Fear, he wants to have a heyday here. He's going to go for CTY. Nope. A little bit too deep there, controlling that one. Sumail still trying to go for him. Left down to 100 HP, but CTY does survive. So finally, EHOME And it was close, but they do win this smallest of fights, claiming both the Aegis as well as PPD.
Oh, that's great. It just shows them that they can still win this game if EG decide to overextend. And the power of that Darkseer, that's their first time they've actually been able to get a really good initiation off. And it's because EG didn't really have the best vision, and the Darkseer runs in, finally able to get the combo off, and they needed the Blink Dagger for them to be able to do that. But still a lot of map control for EG, and all the EG really have to do is continue to hold, get some items off. Fear's about to get that Mjolnir like we talked about. After that, you probably get a BKB, because as it just demonstrated, when the Spirit Breaker runs in with you, one of you has to have a BKB. Otherwise, you're just going to get stunned up in front of a Witch Doctor who's going to immediately lay down that Death Ward.
Right. Because this is such a farming game, in order to get the full force of the net worth advantage for Evil Geniuses, let's take a look at that graph, where we see a 15,000 net worth lead by EG, 14k experience. And this is all because they're farming more efficiently than EHOME. EHOME are constantly forced to group up, can't really go down to that bottom lane because the techies are constantly having to stay safe in groups against Samael, who's playing very aggressively, trying to threaten these heroes. In fact, he goes for a Scotty next. Very stat-focused item rather than the pure damage focus of, say, a Battle Fury Daedalus build. But why do you think that is?
I think he just wants to be able to slow them up more than anything, because EG also kind of have a lack of disable, and you just want, when you play a really mobile hero like this, you just want enough HP to guarantee that you don't have to go for a defensive item to be able to survive.
Right.
Like, he doesn't want to get something like a Linken's or a BKB himself, because there's not enough on EHOME to warrant it, but at the same time, just standing around with 1200 HP is probably going to get you killed. You just want enough HP to be able to survive, and Scotty kind of fits the bill on all fronts.
Lottom, he seems to be going for a Dagon build over anything else. I mean, you already have the mech on ROTK. Sometimes you see the 4-position Bounty Hunter, when he does well, go for the mech Guardian Greaves. Obviously, that's not an option for him this game, so Dagon, I guess, is his just best item he can go for at this point.
I don't know if it's the best item, but getting Guardian Greaves against EG's lineup is probably way too late at this point. The burst damage helps, though. You can instantly get rid of the Flame Guard almost from Sumail, and that would be pretty significant.
Potentially burst down a hero like Techies before he gets off that suicide.
Yeah, and I guess the Lina, she's got armor, and she's going to go for the Shivas like we theory-crafted, but it's unlikely that she has enough HP to survive like 2 burst hits. But again, I mean, the main strategy for EHOME is still get this Phantom Lancer as farmed as we can, and hope that the track advantage is enough.
Unfortunately, he's still sitting behind. In fact, it's a pretty drastic difference behind the Techies. Sitting at 8,400 on the Phantom Lancer. Techies at over 10k right now. 15k is Fear, top of the net worth on that Bloodseeker, farming away through the enemy jungle constantly. There's just not many places for EHOME to go at this point.
Yeah, they don't want to go to... I don't even think they've touched this side of the map, like the bottom side of the map and on. They're just so afraid of somebody being blown up by mines, and they're not really willing to push down the mid lane either, and so EHOME are just waiting it out. And the thing is, EG is quite afraid of that Track plus Phantom Lancer combination too, which is why they don't just go for the all-in push. If you decide to suicide push in and the Phantom Lancer lives and he gets a kill or 2 and you suddenly have 3 or 4 track kills, the game becomes really weird for EG. Like, they have to wait out the next 2 Roshans just to make it okay again. So it's better for them just continue to farm. They're farming everywhere on the map right now. Make no mistake about it.
Their jungle, top lane, bottom lane, enemy jungle, EG are covering it all, and EHOME are pretty much left with picking up the scraps.
Yeah. I mean, if you're them, you probably just wait for the next Roshan, right? There's no reason to overextend for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So EHOME, 4-manning behind their Phantom Lancer, because the lanes aren't pushed in yet.
It seems like they need a 5-man and push out with the gem that they have. That they just are less scared of the AUI techies.
There's 2 options right now. If we just pose a question, it's either A, EHOME just decide to smoke up and go for it and potentially risk losing the game, or B, do they just wait for the defensive power of Track plus your Phantom Lancer and hope that EG overextend like crazy? Because we have seen a lot of those comeback wins with Bounty Hunter in situations like this. I don't know which one is better here. But it seems
YJ
like
actually goes for, it's just a value bit booster at this point. Like, he's not going to go hard second item, right? After the Diffusal Blade, it's just a little bit of value in this bit booster for now. He eventually goes hard, but not yet, right?
I think it's okay for him to grab the heart. In a game like this, you just need your illusions to be TP, especially when you're against heroes that clear your illusions so quickly.
Okay.
Like, it should be your only goal. Getting a Manta style here probably doesn't help you out at all.
Fair enough. Roshan is coming up right now, so Evil Geniuses will immediately see that one thanks to the remote mines and will attempt to clear it. EHOME, do they contest it all for a Roshan fight, knowing that there's probably a lot of remote mines in that area?
No way. Just give it up. Stick to the game plan, guys. They've been doing it for the last 20 minutes. There's no reason to deviate at this point for such a risky goal.
Cass bouncing around, crowd giving a good share of that one. I want to notice also AUI, he's doing something, this is what I was talking about earlier, the remote mine's very common tactic nowadays for techies because the enemy is going to be running gem. You actually place remote mines inside of the trees, so even if they do have the gem, they can still stumble into those remote mines because the AUE is large enough to catch them out. EG, of course, going to be able to claim that Aegis nice and quick with the BKB and Aegis. It seems like they almost have all their items ready to go for a push uphill.
Yeah, Fear's just going to farm a little bit more. They've got... I mean, the easiest way to tell if they're going to go for push or not is, are they waiting for any items? Like, Universe only has 1,500 gold, not nearly enough for another late game item. Sumail's probably close behind him, but he doesn't really need any more items at this point, and Fear also is pretty much capped. Like, he's got 1,200 gold. That would mean for him to get another item, he would at least need 5 or 6 minutes of farm, but that's the Aegis timer.
Alright, so Sumail picks up his Crystallis and actually buys the Daedalus recipe here. So he can actually finish up the Daedalus and then we can go for the push, particularly with the Blood Rage. The opportunity to put that on Sumail and have him Sleight of Fist, get one good critical on one of the lower HP heroes, and he may actually just one-shot them.
Yeah, so they probably wait for the crit on Sumail then, and then go for it because nothing else to wait for, like we said, and even go for the smoke here. This is them trying to get aggressive.
Alright, TK, he's been ruptured and his charge, he's just killing himself at that point in time, but he knows he's got to get back to CTY, but it's not going to change anything. Fear pops the BKB, PBE is going to be torn apart by CTY, but so too is CTY now, going to be ripped apart by Fear, running him down at EHOME because of that BKB has nothing to be able to stop him. Sumail easily picks up another kill on the Phantom Lancer. Fear just keeps on running through. 1, 2, and then third on DDC. Sumail snaps a double kill and a triple for Fear. EG wiping EHOME and now going to be ready to push hill. AUI and Universe are already on it in the bottom lane. They've taken out that lane of Rax. They're going to now join Fear and Sumail for what seems to be a flawless victory in game number 2. EHOME, there goes RTK, Laguna play just to finish things off. There goes GG as the call from EHOME. They know this one is over. Unbelievable performance by EHOME in game number 1. Flawless is how I would describe both of these games. Game 1 for EHOME, game 2 for Evil Geniuses. I cannot wait for what we're going to be seeing in game 3.
Yeah, it just felt like EG this time around, they had a much better understanding of what they wanted to go for when it came to the picks. And if you look at EHOME's draft, it was just very focused on the Phantom Lancer and the Razor being able to win that lane. And I mean, props to